Hey everyone, this is Lord Shadrach speaking. I want to talk about Therians and Otherkins and why I like those who identify as such. Now, a lot of you on here who've seen my videos may remember I made a video in defense of furries and videos explaining why I like furries. I like furries because they put a lot of work in their fursuits and their personas are very entertaining and everything like that. But when it comes to these otherkins and therians, which I believe is a subculture derived from the furry fandom, kind of like how hippies came from beatniks, scenesters came from emo, and, you know, things like that, it's just, I really admire these youngins when they do their quadrobics. The athleticism in their quadrobics is purely phenomenal. That these youngins, even though they're putting on, animal tails and animal masks and they're jumping around, I'm like, whoa, the athleticism, the fact that these youngins are doing this kind of thing looks pretty cool. And I really like the Therians and Otherkins. I don't write them off as people, as some people would say, oh, they're just a bunch of idiots acting like animals. They're a bunch of middle nutcases or wannabe furries. Actually, I find what they do to be very interesting. I find their culture, their subculture, to be very intriguing. That these youngins and some adults will actually think that they really are these animals, and that they go around on all fours like they do, and like I said, they do quadrobics. It's just pretty interesting. I must say that what these people are doing, is pretty awesome. I'm not against it, and at times it may seem kind of strange, but my admiration of the Therians and Otherkins is more out of curiosity and admiration for their athleticism in the way of their quadrobics. And I don't see these kids doing anything, and I use kids because some of them are youngins, and some of them, some of them are, adults that are in their 20s and things like that. But I don't really have anything against these youngins that engage in this sort of thing. You know, if they do this sort of thing and they're not hurting anyone and they're not doing it whenever it's inappropriate, they're not, as long as they're doing it when it's appropriate, I should say, as long as they're doing it when it's appropriate, I really have nothing against these Therians and Otherkin. What they do is pretty cool and pretty awesome. And I know I'm a rarity when it comes to a conservative. Yes, I'm a conservative that actually thinks this is pretty cool. As long as they're not hurting kids, as long as they're not hurting anyone, excuse me, as long as they're not doing it whenever it's inappropriate, like government buildings, funerals, the job site, things like that. As long as these people are doing it whenever it's appropriate, along with, with their friends at conventions or whatever, then I have no problems with that. I don't have any problems with these youngins who engage in the quadrobics. In fact, I think it's pretty cool. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again here. Why do I like the fact these kids do quadrobics? I like the fact that these individuals do their quadrobics because it's getting them outdoors. They're getting exercise. They're actually getting a breath of fresh air instead of spending all their time on oh, I'm on the phone, I'm on the phone, I'm on the phone, I'm on the phone here, I'm on the phone. Instead of doing that, they're actually getting out and doing something. They're not sitting around playing video games or on their scrolling their screens. They're actually, even if they are dressing up like, putting on the animal mask and the tail, And I said in my video, one of my older videos that I did at defending emo and scene, is that these people are going through, a phase. It might be a phase in their life. You don't know. These people might be going through a subculture in another 10 years or so. They might outgrow it. You never know. That was the way with the emo scene movement. Eventually, those that identified as emo and scene in the 2000s, they grew out of it, even though they're no longer putting on the makeup and dressing up as such. They still have it in their hearts that they are. The same could be said for these Therians and Otherkins 20 years from now. Excuse me, 10 years, 10, 20 years from now. They might not do it anymore, but in another decade or so, but they still got it right here. And that's just the thing. I really want people to just, as long as these individuals, these Therians and Otherkins, are not hurting you, don't mess with them, don't bully them, just let them be. Just let it be. Let it be. They're not hurting you. I think what they're doing is pretty cool. These Therians and Otherkins, I think it's pretty cool. And I will say that I gladly stand up and defend them. Because, they're not bothering me. There's a lyrics in the song Rough and Ready by Trace Adkins where he says, well, you are who you are, that's all right with me, but I am who I am, that's all I can be. And that, I try to live my life based on that philosophy, even though I have disagreements with certain individuals and certain lifestyles and religious beliefs and everything. And it's just the thing, some people, the problem is people need to learn to live and let live. The way I see it, as long as you're not hurting anyone, you're not hurting kids, you're not doing anything criminal, and you're not bullying someone, do your thing. Just understand, not everyone's on board with what you're going to say or you're going to do. And do it when it's appropriate, most important of all. Keep it behind closed doors if you have to. Keep it in your house if you have to. Don't do it whenever it's inappropriate. But in closing, if you're a Therian and Otherkin, or you're someone like me who's not Therian or Otherkin, but supports them as a Therian sympathizer, Therian supporter, I think, I think what they do is pretty interesting. This is Lord Shadrach speaking, signing off.